Good morning, Metalheads Internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown! So my time management's been pretty bad lately, if we're being fully honest. As a result, I don't know for sure if this is either the first album review of 2020 or the last album review of 2019. In either scenario, I'm going to take a quick moment to say Happy New Year. Thank you for your continued support of the Metal Meltdown. If by some chance you're brand new and you like what you hear, I hope you stick around because there's lots of cool plans in the works, lots of stuff going on. I'm going to move on to more ambitious pastures and start doing some funkier stuff here. So yeah. Alright, now let's get to the good shit. I'm sure most of you clicked on a video about a new Bring Me the Horizon record to hear about a new Bring Me the Horizon record. Modern rock chameleons who are every bit as successful as they are somewhat controversial at this point. They've kind of adopted this almost David Bowie-esque work mentality where every album is gradually different from the last, and as a result, the next album is always super different from the album that preceded the previous album. And as a result, they've gone through a lot of different styles and sounds. They've gone from deathcore to metalcore to post-hardcore to electronicore and electronic metal and alternative metal, hard rock, heavy metal, leading up to the most recent album, Amo, which kind of delves further into the worlds of modern pop and synth music and kind of creates this modern fusion of pop with a little bit of alternative rock and heavy metal still in the mix. Not everyone is into this band. In fact, I'm pretty certain that a good majority of the people that would regularly watch a show called The Metal Meltdown are already typing poser in the comments. I'm certain of it. The fact that I've even mentioned this band, regardless of how I feel about this record, is going to draw some ire and heat. But hey, that doesn't bother me one bit, and I promise you it doesn't bother Bring Me the Horizon either, who at this point are at the most ambitious and successful point of their entire career, with Amo having sold extremely well, ranking an 85 on Metacritic, and being nominated for a bunch of Grammys, including Best Rock Album. And it looks like the band, riding off the success of Amo, is preparing to start 2020 by going into even weirder territory, even more surprising territory, with this EP even having dropped literally by surprise on December 27th. No press release, no promo singles, not a fucking thing. This EP just popped out of the blue and is already proving to be Bring Me the Horizon's most divisive release to date. And the list of reasons as to why this release is so divisive is almost as long as the title itself. I mean, the entire EP, as it's called, wraps up at almost 75 minutes, with one song that wraps up at 24 minutes and 6 seconds, with collaborations from Halsey, collaborations from Bexy, Lotus Eater, an artist named Yonaka, who I've never heard of, influences from lo-fi hip-hop, influences from trance music, influences from electronic and rave music, influences from more modern pop, almost all rock influence that was in the sound even on Amo has been completely removed, and the band is generally playing with all of these things in very weird fashions. There's not a single moment on this record that I recognize as falling within a standard songwriting formula. It's pretty brazen, bizarre, jarring. Honestly, it kind of feels like if Death Grips tried to write a modern pop record but didn't change anything about their aesthetic and approach. It definitely wins points for being the band's most different release. There's nothing they've ever made that sounds even remotely like this. As such, you can also give it points for being inherently ambitious. But the problem is that ambition only goes so far. At some point, you do have to write a fucking song, and nothing on this album ever comes together in a nice, cohesive fashion. This EP is impossible to casually listen to, especially at 75 minutes long, and is terribly edited, terribly paced, and to be honest, just generally terribly arranged. You have some songs that kind of feel like something you'd hear at a really fucked up rave, and other songs that sound like they belong on one of those lo-fi anime hip-hop playlists on YouTube. And then you have that aforementioned 24-minute track entitled Underground Big that comes close to rivaling the experimental stupidity of John Lennon's infamous Number 7. I mean, it starts off kind of interesting with this really bizarre psychedelic hip-hop beat, and it transitions into some weird transient vocals, but eventually it latches onto this one singular beat and repeats it until the end of the track, only adding some spoken word vocals here and there that don't amount to anything. They don't provide any kind of narrative, at least not one that I'm picking up on. And this isn't the only overly long and confusing number. You have two other tracks that both clock in at over 10 minutes, the first one being Steal Something, that I think is trying to hearken to like some of the sad boy underground hip-hop and R&B that you're seeing from artists like Joji, but it feels way more spaced out and again, just way too long for its own good. And the latter track being Dead Dolphin Sounds, which never transcends beyond being a collection of simplistic, airy, transient beats and lo-fi sounds. There are some tracks that are kind of interesting. For instance, I'm actually kind of digging this Halsey collaboration, even if it is, in my opinion, a little bit too long and overproduced. And I'm also enjoying this final track featuring the aforementioned Yanaka. You know, it's kind of a banger, not gonna lie. But you have to sift through a lot of crap to get to these enjoyable bits and pieces. A lot of weird, jarring, stupid crap. I don't want to be rude, but a lot of the stuff on this album just feels like it's being weird for the sake of being weird. Like, I'm fine if Bring Me the Horizon never want to write a fucking rock song ever again. If you guys want to go into some weird experimental electronic territory, by all means, you're adults, you do what you want. I don't give a fuck. But is it too much to ask for something cohesive and sensible? Like, this album is just inherently so fucking weird to the point where I don't think I could really recommend this to anyone outside of people who are really into experimental electronic music. And if by chance you fall into that category, honestly, I doubt a band like Bring Me the Horizon is on your radar to begin with, so why the fuck would you check this out? And this is without even mentioning the fact that this so-called EP is 75 minutes long. Even if you were to find a way to fuse all this together into a nice, cohesive, catchy package, it's still 75 minutes long. Way too long for a regular album, let alone a fucking EP. Like, would you watch a teaser trailer that was 75 minutes long? Would you eat an appetizer for 75 straight minutes? I wouldn't, but that's more or less what Bring Me the Horizon is asking us to do here. I would personally go for 1.5 out of 5. It's just way too long, way too bloated, way too overproduced, and way too strange for its own good. I get the vibe that this EP was either the result of a bunch of leftover tracks from Amo, or the guys in Bring Me the Horizon just got really fucking high one day and got really into hip-hop. Or maybe both at the same time, I don't fucking know. But the point is, it's just not as interesting or cohesive or exciting as any of their other records. And honestly, coming hot off the heels of Amo, coming hot off the heels of such a successful year for the band, it kind of feels a little disappointing. I mean, I doubt this record will ruin them per se, but from what I understand, they are moving towards more experimental releases and experimental types of releases in the future. So it is concerning. I know I'm not alone in these complaints, so maybe Bring Me the Horizon will hear some of this and take some of that into consideration. I don't know. For now, I just don't think that there's a lot on here to recommend outside of people who are into electronic experimental shit. I don't know. I wouldn't even recommend this to a diehard Bring Me the Horizon fan. Like, if you're walking into this expecting some, like, edgy metalcore or even something in the vein of Amo, you are going to be, like, totally confused and lost within the fucking madness of this whole thing. 1.5 out of 5, definitely not how I would want to end 2019, and hopefully not a definitive sign of what's to come from this band. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.